Okay, we have Yehudah Kamman. Is it Kamman or Kamen? Let me get this straight. Kamman?
Kamman, yeah.
Kamman, like the can man. He can. He can, guys, and he's
I
Cam.
can, man. Yeah.
He can, man.
Everybody says Cayman, but it also comes from like Yiddish, which is like there's no ass sound in Yiddish, so they would spell it A, Cayman.
And Kamman, what does that mean?
I don't know, but it comes from Kamieniecki. It's a certain town in Poland, something to do with like a stone maker or stone chiseler or something like that. I don't
That
remember.
makes sense because you are chiseling coal into diamonds. You are
Oh
working with these
man.
men who really need help. You see their potential. You love their potential for years and years and years. I've been going on dates. I said this in our first episode together where, I had you on the podcast recently. And I told you the saga of asking so many famous people, not famous people, authors, New York Times best-selling authors, please have a men's retreat. You can speak to men. And they'd always come back to me with, I've tried. They won't show up. And then there's all these guys with a racket, teaching like Andrew Tate, who are infamous for having these really weird things happen with men. Vice did a whole backstory on him that I was like outraged, and I'm so glad they were able to do it. But they follow him into his dungeon with these men, and like they fight each other till they're bleeding, and they say like a real man just owns women, and they make misogyny cool, and he also happens to be a Muslim, and there's like certain things of the way that he practices Islam and the way that he, looks at Christianity and he puts down Judaism. Like it's so dangerous. And men are really feeling it. They're very vulnerable today because they've been told they're not women, but they should be more feminine and they should say what they feel. But then so I can't wait to get into all this stuff with you. But I want people to know that I think I found the guy. You are creating a safe space for men to be actual men and
Yeah.
not in probably a way that the world has ever known because thank God we are in a new evolution of human beings, and some of us are really getting the memo that like it's a messianic era. It's a really spiritual time on the planet for people to really wake up and see so much light, and yet at the same time there's so much darkness and so many pitfalls and so much vulnerability to, oh no, you want to do this? Just take this pill. Oh, you want to get ahead? Just step on all these people. You want to be in a throuple or like a quadruple or like have 17 kids and under one roof and then no problem. Do whatever the heck you want. But like you're up against all of that with these beautiful Jewish values, unabashedly saying, this is what I know to be true. This is what worked for me after over a decade of being married, almost 2 decades. And I I want to help as much as I can. And it's such a chesed, a kindness that you are giving these men a place to be with you, not only one on one, but in retreats. I should be your manager because I'm like such a seller for
But
you.
you never know. I'm putting together our first men's retreat. So I've done couples retreats and I have groups either been my client, meaning they've been through my program, they stay in the group, or they're my current clients. And this group is blowing up these men's lives and their marriages because I coach their marriage, but then I take the men aside. I'm like, look, as a man, I'm going to hold you accountable, not just after my program. Like for now, I run a 3 month program with the couple, right? I take the couple for 3 months and I give them the tools where they can start molding themselves into their, truly, you know, psychedelic real selves. And I
Without the
mean
psychedelics.
without the psychedelics, the real psychedelics, because
Right.
I heard this one of my coaches, she said she was amazing. She really helped our life, me and my wife. The best medicine in the world is a relationship, is a healthy relationship. There's no better medicine that, but it's also the hardest thing you can do. So when I focus on the couple, then I take the men and I'm like, you guys, you're sticking with me. Like we have this group, I give daily challenges in there. So I meet with this whole group once a week, once a month virtually, and they're all like, Yehuda, we're ready for a retreat. We want you to put this together. And I'm like, all right, we're doing it. And then, you and I spoke, Barb, and we're like, let's work on putting this together. Let's make this happen. So
Yeah. And I
it's
think I can help you with putting stories and situations out there that a lot of people in my age group, like the 35 to, 55 or even 60, that those singles who are really struggling, there's like really no singles events. I go to singles events for 40 and up, and it's like geriatric care. Like it's guys in their 70s with like the toupees going, "Hello, no, I'm only 52," and I'm like, "No, you're not." Like, and it's a whole new world because back in the day when we were growing up, there were no singles events, and if there were, it was just for 20s and 30s. There was no such thing as a single person over 50 that was looking to get married again. It just didn't exist.
Hmm.
Now, that is becoming, sadly, a normal for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so, for those of us who are trying to date now, still for marriage, and me, I say still because I've been dating since I'm 25, 24 for marriage. Um, how do you not get jaded? What are some of the pitfalls? When I go on my dates and I come back and I talk to my friends and my family, I get a lot of like licking the wounds, like, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, what is wrong with these people? And it's all the men's fault and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? It can't just be the guy's fault all the time. I feel like there's such a treasure trove to be found and mined, and I can't wait to get into it with you. So I have a couple of stories that I wanted to share that happened somewhat recently. And without incriminating anyone, of course, you know, you and I both believe in Jewish values and the Torah, and there's certain commandments. So I just want to relax everyone that I would never incriminate a guy I went out with, and I might change just a few key details so you could never figure out who he is. But I will be sharing the meat and potatoes of what happened on the date just so that we could learn from it, not because, God forbid, I ever want to speak gossip about somebody or harm them or tarnish their name. So relax. If we went out, you know me enough that I would never want to bash you in any way, shape, or form. I went out with a guy not too long ago from New York. We met on a new dating app. I think it started out as a Jewish dating app. We get set up. He's got great pictures. I just happen to notice that he's a Kohen and I am part of the tribe of like there were 12 tribes now. There's three tribes of Judaism now. So I am part of that tribe, and it's a really big deal for a bat Kohen like myself, a female Kohen, to marry a Kohen. Certain laws that he has to do, that he can only marry a certain kind of person, and I have to marry either a Kohen, by the way, or someone who studies Torah regularly. So if you're interested in me and you're not so religious, don't worry. As long as you're studying Torah, regularly, it could work out. So I get so excited. And he's like 7 years older than me, but I'm like, I don't care. We set up a call, and I have to kind of pull him a little bit to say, can we do FaceTime and can it be today? Now, I had a dating coach a while back who I loved, Amy Loftus, who's great at dating coaching for women. And she's very into like, stand your ground, know your boundaries. So her big thing is if a guy's kind of hedging and not and being kind of casual about when we're going to meet, meaning in today's world through FaceTime, you just say, I'm available now for 10 minutes. That's it. So I love that note. So I always use it if I can. If a guy is like, we match up, I'm like, great, I'm available now for 10 minutes, or I can meet Tuesday from 12 to 12:30 and I can have a few moments then. I don't make it like, oh, can we talk now? So he's like, yeah, we could FaceTime, I guess. And the way he said it, I was like, he's just being casual or he like really doesn't care. So already it was like a pink flag. We get on FaceTime, we start talking. He's so cute. He's so funny. He's so charming. We're having the best time. And lo and behold, I don't know where it came from, but he said he was a Leo. And I was like, oh, me too. When's your birthday? I just kind of threw that out there. We have the same birthday. Now, that's never happened to me. That's so cool. And I started to get a little excited, and I think he noticed. And I was like, that's adorable. But I didn't say it like, oh my God, we're getting married. I was just like, oh. And I say, I'm coming to New York next week. I'm happy to meet you if you wanted, because he didn't say anything at the end, even though we were vibing and everything. So I was like, just so you know, I'll be there from Thursday to Sunday if you ever want to meet up. I happen to be going to this event and it would be so cool to meet you. And he's like, yeah, definitely. We'll work it out. And I was like, okay, another pink flag. He didn't make a date.
Hmm.
I hang up the phone. I hear from him like Wednesday. And I'm like, oh, I wasn't going to reach out, but since he did, I'm like, so maybe we could do, here's when I'm available, Saturday night and Sunday, blah, blah, blah. He's like, great. Since you're going to this event, I'll meet you at the event Saturday night after the event, at the event. He knew it was a singles event. It was like a very big thing. And he said, let's meet at the dance party, Motzei Shabbat, like Saturday night. And I'm thinking, this is a red flag. This is not going anywhere. He's not serious about me. If he was serious about me, he'd be like, "Yes, when are you available? Let me take you out." When a guy, I did Alison Armstrong's program. A woman wants to feel charmed and enchanted. He was not charming. He was not enchanting. He gave good charm on the phone, but now it's gone. And I'm like, "What are you doing, Barb?" And I'm like, and then the back of me was like, "No, just give him a chance. He's 50 something. Like he's exhausted, let him." So I'm already making excuses for him. I'm like, "Okay." And I'm like, "Well, I might extend my trip because I was trying to give him a little more time to like meet with me. I have so much opportunity. I'm focusing on the opportunities, forget this guy. So I don't even think about him actually again at all. But Saturday night, because I hadn't met someone so great on the trip, and by the way, all of the matchmakers I met with at this retreat knew him. And since I was on the upper age of this, the retreat was for like 25 to 55, which was so dumb because it was like fathers and daughters walking around. Like it was nuts. And so many men who were old with like
We're
toupees were
going
like,
after the younger ones. Yeah.
oh, of course. And it's so sick. It's like it's to me, it's like really gross. And also the women our age, it's just never a good idea. So if you're listening and you run dating events, don't make 25 to 55. Do like, you know, 40 to 60 and 25 to,
30.
45. That's it. All the matchmakers were like, "Have you met this guy?" Let's say his name was Matt. And I was like, "It's so funny. He's kind of being weird with me because I'm supposed to meet him this weekend, but they're like, oh, this is what they said. He's been known for wanting a girl who's like 15 years younger than him. So we want him to date you because you can still have kids and blah, blah, blah. And you froze your egg, all these things." And I'm like, "Oh, well, can you talk to him? Because I'm not going to do it." So Saturday night comes. I still haven't met a guy that I liked. And most of the guys there who were my age were interested in younger anyway, which is so sad, but it just is what it is. Like they'd be interested in me and then they find out how old I was and they'd be like, "Oh." I'm like, my person is going to be like, "Oh my God, you're that age? Amazing." Like, I can't wait. You're going to know all my references and, the movies that I watched as a kid. I don't have to like be like, "Oh, what does low key mean?" Like they'll be fine with me. So Saturday night comes and I get all dressed up and I'm expecting a text from him, but also kind of not. Saturday night comes and goes and I never hear from him. In
Mm.
fact, at some point on Saturday night after Shabbat, I just said, like, "Are you here?" And I never heard. So on Sunday, I called one of the matchmakers and I was done. I like almost, I didn't block his number, but I was like, I'm never going to hear from this guy. I wish him the best. And maybe he found someone at the dance party and good for him. Totally fine. There's an abundance of people. Sunday, one of the matchmakers calls me and she's like, "Did you hear from him?" And I said, "No. Did you reach out?" She goes, "No, but I think you should reach out." And here's where it got to be a bad movie. And this is why I wanted to bring it up because it's such a juicy story. So I, against my better judgment, texted him on Sunday morning and I said, "I hope you're okay. Obviously something went wrong and I'm just, I hope everything's fine. And if you happen to meet someone here, Gesundheit, hate, have a great week. Just next time, maybe like, give the person a heads up that you're not going to be there." And he takes a picture of himself from Saturday night that I guess he took. And he's like, "I was there." And this is the weird part. It was a picture of him standing in a foyer that didn't exist at the event. It was like, it looked like a picture someone took in their house. So I just thought that was so weird. So I write to the matchmaker and I say, he sent me a picture of himself somewhere else and tried to prove that he was there. And I said, "I don't really care. I just think this is getting weird." She goes, "What I want you to do is just say, can we talk on the phone for 5 minutes?" And just tell him, "Here's where you screwed up. So don't do it next time to the next person." I'm like, I should not be doing that. That is not my job. She's like, "You are such a good coach and such a good person. And if you just speak from your heart, it might actually help him because I've been through this so many times with him and you're not afraid. You can talk to anybody. You have a podcast of like how to talk to anybody at any time." I'm like, okay. Because I will do anything for the Jewish people, honestly, especially if it means that he won't do this again. Do you hear? This is my meaning.
Yeah.
So I say, "Can you talk for 5 minutes? I'd love to just share with you some feedback that I have." And he called me.
Oh, well.
And it was one of the most shocking conversations I think I've had in my life. Um, he started to scream. He told me I was an idiot. He told me I was an a-hole. It was like talking to older or younger brother who's like you just, found something of yours in their room and he starts screaming. He got really triggered.
Well,
I started to shake. And unfortunately, because I maybe have domestic violence in my family, I stayed on the phone because I wanted to make sure he was okay.
mm,
And I forgot about myself. I went into fight or flight and I just listened with my whole heart. And I said, I think this was a really bad idea. I just wanted you to know I really liked you. I was excited from the second we talked on the phone. I thought you were really good looking. I'm just being really vulnerable. And and the whole time I really thought before I picked up the phone, what got me to pick up is that he was a really good guy. He just was kind of like ageism took over. And I wanted him to know he missed out on a good person and maybe don't do this next time. That was literally it. I didn't want to meet with him. I thought he was a little off, but I also was like, you're so good looking. And so many people recommended you for me this weekend. I felt like it was hashkacha that I like call you. And he said, like, I could tell when we got on the phone, you're just so desperate. You were like, "Oh, we have the same birthday." And I said, "Well, I'm really calling on behalf of the Jewish people." He's like, "On behalf of the Jew care about the Jewish people? Oh my God. Like this is ridiculous. You're so weird. You are so weird. Why the F would you call someone on the phone and you're so needy. You want to date me so badly that you're gonna scream at me about I'm like, I'm not screaming. I'm actually I'm calling you because the matchmaker told me to, and I thought it would be like the right thing to do to just be like because I don't know how many girls actually call you and give you feedback. I really tried to back my steps up and tell him why. He could not hear it. He's never met anyone like me who cares that much about Jews that I like just wanted to give him feedback. Couldn't hear it, couldn't handle it, screaming his head off. And I said, I have tears in my eyes. I'm so sorry that I called you. Please forgive me. This was not the right move. And the whole thing was maybe like a 10-minute call, but it should have been 30 seconds. I should have hung up immediately. And when I got off the phone, I was like shaking for like an hour because I felt all of his pain, all of his desperation, all of his I'm 50 something and I screwed up years ago when I should have just said yes to the first girl or whatever it was. Like I felt it all.
mhm,
And I called the matchmaker and she was like, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have given you that advice. And I said, yeah, well, he's probably got some sort of disorder or something. And I
clearly.
feel for him. I really do. And she's like, yeah, I'm so sorry. I just thought it would be helpful, but I guess, I've tried to give him feedback before and he just won't take it. And I'm like, well, that's a good sign that maybe he just needs a little extra help and it's not my job and it's not your job. Like, so that happened. And I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Well, first of all, I'm really sorry you went through that. That sucks. You don't deserve that at all. I'm really sorry.
Thank
Um,
you.
it's really stupid. There's a whole lot to unpack there.
People still refer him to me, by the way, because he's a Kohen and they think his pictures are flawless. So they're like, you're good looking, he's good, it's nice that they feel that way, but so it's very triggering when it comes up, but then I always remind myself this was happening for a reason. So maybe one of the reasons it happened is for today.
Um, there's a whole lot to unpack there for a lot of reasons, but one of the biggest things that stuck out with me is, and this is, you kind of give me some free range to say it how I feel, right? Um, so, and this is with no judgment to you or whoever gave you that advice to call him back. One of the biggest things that is missing in this work and in polarity, which I specialize in, is I have 5 pillars that I teach. And one of the second pillar, the first one's mindset, the second one is keeping your word. A man needs to learn how to keep his word, right? One of the most attractive things to a woman is a man who is consistently and is on top of his shit and he keeps his word and he regulates himself to his word and binds himself to his word. Now that doesn't mean he can't make mistakes. Like for example, if he says not him or any man, dating, single, married, doesn't matter, a father, whatever. If he says I'll be there at 8 and he realizes he's not going to be there at 8, A man who keeps his word texts her at 7:30 and say, "I'm really sorry. I messed up. I'm going to be there at 8:39. I really want you to know I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen again. This is on me." That's also a man who keeps his word. So it doesn't mean a man can't make a mistake. It means a man lives with integrity. That's my brand, everybody, men of integrity. A man with integrity, to me, there's many different definitions of integrity, but integrity to me means how do you behave when no one's looking? Meaning, are you really, truly, honestly a man who keeps his word to himself, to the world, to the women in his life, whoever? Why am I giving this platform? Because keeping your word also applies to women, but differently. It's a lot different. Women in general, they bond emotionally. They release oxytocin by telling over their emotions. That's oxytocin is a bonding hormone. So, so how does it apply to women? Like, I need to keep my word? No. The way a woman keeps her word is by significantly speaking from her desires and not being afraid to no longer people please. And in my work, I call it no longer man please or husband please or boyfriend please. Like one of the things that stuck out to me in your story is that the two women involved were so concerned about his feelings and not their own. Now, I'm not saying that this is a bad thing or whatever. It's just the programming that a woman could do to keep her word to herself is like, I'm worth way more than that. I don't even need to talk to this person. And for the Jewish people and trying to help this person, I get it. But the second that guy goes off the hinges or starts yelling, the self-worth and the self-value inside of the rested feminine is what I call it. Like where you're rested in your femininity is like, oh, I'm doing this for him and not me. That's the a line that that women really have to practice in this. And it's not their fault. It's society's fault. It's their parents' fault. It's a lot of people's fault. At fault, whatever that means, right? But what I'm trying to say is the energy inside of women are so programmed to be about the other and not me. And so where do I take this? So for example, I get a lot of messages a lot of time from single women saying like, this guy stood me up, this guy did this similar stories of what you're saying, right? And as you're well aware in our world, Barbara, with energy and spirituality and connection, and the world is all connected. I'm a full believer that we are all magnets. You draw to you what you put out, right? So if you're putting out this idea that I don't, even subconsciously, very subconsciously, not a bad thing about you or anybody else who does this, but it's taught to women. Don't take up space. Do things for other people. Don't be difficult. Don't give people a hard time. Now, I'm not saying I obviously don't agree with that, but it's so programmed of like that whole thought process of you should call him back and let him know and educate him. Just that alone I'm picking apart. Just that concept of alone of like your magnet that you want to put out, you personally and any women, single women listening to this should be, I'm going to attract a high value man. And a high value man doesn't stand me up. A high value man doesn't play games. A high value man is direct. He's very honest and open and clear about what he wants and he gets it. And the red flags to me was way earlier. The fact that it's like, no, I'll be there 8 o'clock. Where do you want me to meet? Like you did mention that. To be fair, you knew, you saw the red flags, and that's very, very great and self-aware of you. Like you saw it. The 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 feeling of maybe being alone and not knowing where things are going to come from It's like, okay, let me give him another chance, another chance, another chance, another chance, right? But the like hopefully the healthy musser is connected to no, you need to know your self-worth like on and you do, but transforming it into these on the spur moments in the field, in the trenches, where this guy's good looking, he's charming, we have the same birthday, and it's like, wow, everything's matching up. It's like, no, I'm going to keep my word to myself, which is my femininity deserves a high value man. And when you park that inside of yourself, and that's your feminine energy flowing from you, I don't guarantee anything, I don't promise anything, but on a theatrical, dramatic version of this, I can promise you that's what you will attract. When you know that you deserve a high value man who does this, and that is in you, and you ask for it, like the other day, me and my wife, we practice this all the time. If she's feeling she's not getting enough from me, I'm too busy, whatever, just life. That's gonna happen in any couple, dating, single, friends, parents. She literally texted me and said, I would really love it if you take me out on a date soon, which is her saying, I want to go on a date. In other couples, it would be like, why aren't you taking me out? You're ignoring me. You're too busy. It turns into this big fight, right? But her evaluation of herself, she knows how men like to like hear things because men are task oriented. We release oxytocin, the bonding hormone, when we win. Sometimes it's not obvious to us how to win with women. Actually, most of the time it is not obvious to us. But when we're told, not guided, not held a hand, not mothered, but I had no idea my wife, I just took her out for her birthday last week. But she wants that was with the family. It's a different energy for women. Birthday's different than time with the husband on a date, right? So my wife texted me and said, "The new Thai place just opened. I would really love for you to take me on a date there." So instead of saying, "Why don't you tell me I really want to go on a date?" She's directly asking for what she wants from her femininity. So the more women like practice doing this, you could have listened to the shotgun and called him and said, I want you to know in the future, you could do X, Y, and Z. And the second he blows up, he's spazzing out, what they call today crashing out, as the kids say. My teenager says that he's crashing out. The second he does that, you could say, you know what? Not my conversation. Sayonara. Good luck. Like that's you being parked in that feminine stability and what I call keeping your word to yourself. So men do it in a different way women do it.
Oh my gosh. It's like Hashem heard. God heard me. I can't tell you. I mean, how I went through the man breakthrough experience with Kurt Blackson, who's been on my podcast a couple times. He's great. He teaches women how to be better in relationships. And I done Allison Armstrong, and I did the relationship course at it was an advanced course and then a relation specifically relationship course for men and women, heterosexual men and women at Landmark. This is like even better. It's just like I've been, I guess, a magnet for your teaching, and I can hear, and what I love about it is you are in a relationship where you are actively working on those things. If I go back to all those people I just named, some of them are married, some of them aren't, but what they all didn't have in common when I was sitting with them and taking their courses is giving examples right now in the here and now of where
Yeah.
they're at and having their spouse say something like what Shayna said to you.
Yeah.
Um, so I really appreciate it. And I can hear that you're such a good student. And I'd rather learn from someone who's currently actively a student and messing up and getting things right and wrong and sharing
Absolutely.
of themselves than
This is
this
a
like
lifelong
expert,
endeavor. Yeah, it's a
what?
lifelong endeavor. I don't,
Yeah.
I think you and I remember the commercials, Hair Club for Men. You remember those?
I'm also a member. Yeah.
So I say that to my clients all the time. I
Yeah,
go,
of course.
I'm not just the founder of Men of Integrity. I am a member, meaning like I don't pretend I don't get in arguments with my wife. Don't pretend it's not easy all the time. I just have the tools to navigate through it probably better than anybody else, you know? So
Right.
that's why I'm a coach. That's why I help people. But it doesn't
Right.
mean I have this perfect Instagram life. I don't. But
Right.
I love every moment of it. Like
Yeah.
the 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 process that it takes for like my wife made a post yesterday about me. I'll show it to you. Look at that thumbs up. Um, that she her friend. So my wife used to be a very high ticket coach for women, hormonal
Yeah.
weight loss
For
for women,
nutrition,
right?
right? Yeah.
She was really gaining a lot of momentum, and that steam put her in her masculine. I've always worked and provided. I've always like until she was building her business, it was just me. Her business took off, made more money than me, became the breadwinner more than me, right? And then it turned into this whole thing where she's like has so much power subconsciously. She didn't even realize it happened. And her and her close girlfriend, I think she lives in Australia or whatever. She's getting a bit of a following now because both her and my wife separately went through the same coaching program to become a successful coach.
Hmm.
And they both blew up and became very successful and became the breadwinner of their house
Mm.
comparatively, right? If I was making my numbers are bigger than this, let's talk smaller numbers. If I was making 50K a year, she was making 100, right?
Wow.
So like I'm not saying that was the number, but let's just keep it simple. Like
Hmm.
it was that big of a difference. So if so then she's like, I really don't feel in my feminine. I have these masks on, these performative masks all day, every day, going through this process. And she made a post last night and I shared it. And she was just basically like, thank you for the good men that when we both decided to step down, like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is not what I want to do. I'm in performative mode. I'm in masculine mode. I'm
Mm.
in oh no mode. I'm carrying the whole weight of our life on my shoulders. That's his job. And what I mean by his job, it means the safety, the regulation, the completeness of being able to be caught and held and protected and provided for. That's
Mm.
coming from the masculine, not the feminine. And if it
Hmm.
switches, the polarity is off. It's,
Interesting.
it's very off and dangerous because it builds resentment, it builds negativity, it's all kinds. This is a whole world that people don't know about. So in that same department, my wife said, "Thank you for the good men who step up." Like
Mm.
the good men who step up and want to be this type of man for in life, if you're single, if you're married, the men who take action and step up, the men of integrity. This is how you start to develop, and any single men out there listening to this, it's very important that you work on yourself to such an extent
Mm.
that you provide, how am I being of service? And the women out there listening to this, married and single, what is feeding me?
Mm.
So does this feed you? Is this feeding you?
Mm.
If it doesn't feed you, let it go. And
Right.
I don't, this is the last thing I'd ever tell a woman is to let it go. That's not healthy. But I mean, let it go in the sense of if it's not feeding you, don't let it feed you.
Right. I want to interject here because, my sister has a podcast for female entrepreneurs
Hmm.
mostly. She sometimes works with a few good men, she says, but I think both can be true. I think a woman can have the opportunity and the talent to go after whatever it is she wants. And I don't think you're saying women shouldn't follow their dreams. Don't you
No
have a
way.
daughter? I'm pretty sure you have a couple.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Can I know her? So you wouldn't tell them like don't go for your dreams, but I
No way. Of
think
course.
the energy around I have to make a certain amount of money because I want to live in this lavish lifestyle and I can make more or even the same as my husband. Like I think that if a woman's gonna do really well financially, it shouldn't be coming from a place of if I don't make this money, we're not gonna make it. It
So
should be
bingo, Barbara, you nailed it. So a big sentence that I say, of course, dreams, CEO, $1 million salary, it's all beautiful,
Mhm.
but not because she has to.
Right.
It's because she wants to.
Right.
That's even a deeper, healthier freedom. There are many, there are many couples where she makes more money than him.
Right.
But she also knows that if she wanted to literally stop today,
Yeah.
that he would, I got you, I'm stepping.
So that's the hard part because I think what Kathy teaches, for instance, which I love, and I such a big supporter of my sister because she's amazing, Kanai Nahara, is that she believes that men and women, once they hit a certain family value, they should be able to keep it up and then abundance, it'll be even more.
Hmm.
But the problem is a lot of old school thinking and old school men, if you will, are like, oh my God, she's making more money than me. And now what if I can't keep up? And so that becomes that scarcity mentality and the jealousy and well, this is my job because it literally is inherent in our souls, not even in our blood. We know Adam in the Garden of Eden, there was Adam and Chava, even Adam, and Adam was given the task of making money. Though
Correct.
female, her big issue was childbirth may suck. That was it. But it's not natural. It just isn't. And I'm not saying
No,
this from like a, you know, misogynistic point of view. I'm saying it's literally against our grain for women to be the breadwinners.
not only is it
However,
against the grain, there is a
right.
science,
Yeah.
hormonal release. There's a hormone that women produce, I believe it's called progesterone. I forgot what it's called.
Progesterone. Yeah.
Progesterone. I'm
Yeah.
saying it right.
Yeah, you got it.
Apologies if I'm not.
It's
Um,
okay. It's not your hormone.
yeah, that if a woman is in her masculine, she will stop producing it and it'll mess her period up, for example, her
Yeah.
cycle. It gets so ass backwards, as they say.
Yeah.
Men don't have that to deal with. Men have other things to deal with. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because you, we're talking obviously heterosexual relationships, right? Show me a woman on this planet who doesn't want to feel emotionally taken care of and provided
Mm-hmm.
for. Show
Mm-hmm.
show me one.
Right.
It won't happen. And if she says I don't care, she's lying.
Well, you can't blame her though, because the media, which I'm a
There's
part of,
trauma, there's
yeah, and we're
programming, whatever.
constantly told you don't need a man.
It's
So
not
that,
about that. I'm talking, this could be a single thing. It's not even about me. Yes, it does obviously go into that world for sure. You don't
right.
need a man, all that.
You're saying like you want to be taken care of either by your best friends or your
Deep
spiritual
down.
community, but you want that.
Show me one healthy, stable woman, which most of them are. I mean, they're people with mental illnesses, but
Uh,
we're not talking about that.
right.
Like deep actual mental illnesses, chemical imbalances. But
Sure.
barring that,
Right.
show me one woman who doesn't want to feel like she matters
Yeah.
the most and deepest to him, right? That's
Right.
being provided for, protected for. And then I'm not even talking about money. I'm just talking about the emotional well-being. Show me one man on this planet in a heterosexual relationship, barring mental illness, that doesn't want to feel heroic
Mm-hmm.
and trusted.
Mm-hmm.
Show doesn't exist. You won't find it. If you strip away programming, society, modern BS, whatever, every single person biologically, there's a study from Harvard that every single, let's just call it on the wavelength of standard heterosexual relationships, they feel that way deep down
Mm-hmm.
when you strip away everything. So it's coming. So yes, there's a spiritual aspect of it. There's a psychological aspect. There's literal chemical compounds. So when it comes to providing and boss babe and all these different things,
Mm-hmm.
and I could do anything, great. But I can promise you that is not how you feel deep down.
Mm-hmm.
That you feel that no matter what, I want to be with a man that if I make $10 million a year or $10 a year, that he's got me. That I'm not the one carrying the weight of, oh no, if everything goes to shit, what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
If she feels that if everything goes to shit, I have to step in and save the day, she's in her masculine. That's a
Right.
biological thing.
But I could see why people who have lost their why. Because what happens is, let's say a woman does make more, and then all of a sudden she gets fired from her big corporate job, or her business goes under, or AI takes over the thing that she made a lot of money at. I have seen people Most people get used to a certain standard of living, and when the money goes away, and he also doesn't have such a great job, it is a huge test for the family. And instead of the man being like, well, you just don't make enough money anymore, get out there and do it again, or whatever, it it's all about capitalism.
But did you just hear yourself? You're saying the man is
Yeah,
going to her and saying,
exactly.
act like a tough man.
Right.
That
Yeah,
is
because
backwards. That's
or they get
backwards behavior.
divorced and she has to pay alimony to him.
Yeah,
So
that's what I'm calling out. That is
no, I
backwards
know,
behavior.
but I'm saying you are talking about something that is so normalized today
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
we
yeah.
we really have to deprogram ourselves. We're in a
Yes.
program. I have no problem with love. If those two people that call themselves male to female, female to male are in love with each other and they really want to raise a family, they should be able to raise a family. I have no problem with love, but when the lust and the physical form of a human takes precedence, listen to what I'm saying. The physical formation of a human being, not the soul love that everyone is screaming about in every parade, when the lust of the way a person looks on their outside that costs over $1 million to create takes precedence over the health of a newborn baby and that baby's anatomy is forced to relinquish to the way a person looks on the outside, that's when I say we have absolutely lost the game of humanity.
Yeah.
We are no
Yeah.
longer
We lost the
humans.
game before that too. But yes, this is
But this is a serious, this is why everything is a match, right? If that can happen, no wonder this man is screaming at me for being so needy. Because I'll never forget that. You wanted to meet me so bad, you have to call me on a Sunday after you're here. Just let it go like everyone else. I ghosted you. Big deal. I didn't want to meet you, okay? You need me to spell it out for you? I mean, the tears that I cried, and I'm a pretty strong person. It's just to hear him say it without any vulnerability, like, I'm sorry, I just wasn't interested. Or I know it's a hard thing to say, but to scream at someone who just opened their heart and said, I was interested in you, but if you don't want to meet me, that's okay. Like, he couldn't have.
on that note, that's a wounded feminine man. Meaning like doesn't mean they are dafka feminine in the sense of like not masculine. It means they have a feminine wound that like I truly feel that my stance is right. Therefore, my dysregulation is going to allow me to verbally abuse someone I don't know. That's in his wounded femininity. So it's because he's looking to get out this poison because he doesn't realize deep down he needs to be taken care of. Like he's wanting someone to take care of him. And if I have all these prerequisites, I need to hit this mark, this mark, this mark, this mark. And if somebody takes care of me in that, they're a match. If not, I'm going to be abusive. So there's a big wound there, clearly. A very, very traumatic person, it sounds like, according to your story.
Yeah.
Very traumatic. Um, but no, like, yeah, my main takeaway is when you have these scenarios and she, meaning you in this point, but the feminine isn't aligned with knowing what a high value man is and what you should be looking for, it's going to be very easy to fall back into people pleasing, what I call man pleasing, of like, well, what about how are they feeling? And I go, F that. What about how you're feeling? What about you? And speaking back on that, like that 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 rich boss babe wife who all of a sudden lost all her money and her career. And the man has the gall or the balls to say, well, get back out there and do it again. No, I step in and say, you get the balls to get back out there and do it again. Take care of your family. Take care of your wife. This is your role. This is your job. And if she
Well,
wants to be happy making $10 million, good for her.
right.
Let her do
Well,
it, but
most of
not
the
because she
women,
has to.
so, right, most of the women I know get into the same cycle with their husbands of resentment because now most women are employed
Mhm.
and they are either making equal or a little more because women are such a big part of the workforce. And so they get all resentful. There's a lot of divorces happening amongst my
Yes.
peers, or they're about to, or they're waiting for their kid to graduate, which is so sad because I
It's
was I
because of
was
what
that
I'm
kid.
saying.
Yeah, they exactly because they're like, you're not doing they're not like Shayna saying, I need you, this is what I really want you to do, and this would make me happy. They're like, you don't, I have to do all this. You're and they're everyone's resentful. And the people who created the female workforce knew exactly what they were doing. They're
Yep.
like,
They tax you twice. Yeah, saying the
tax you
same thing.
twice. Yeah, and so women have really lost. We are going to have to clean this up for a really long time. But I think it would be great if you could teach the next time we meet just what it means to be a feminine woman and a masculine man. And let's like go through the bullet points of what all those things
Ooh.
mean because it's going to be a little different. Obviously, there's no prototype, but you have obviously have a general sense. And when someone comes to you one on one, or you go to one of Yehudah's retreats or couples retreats, you'll see how you specifically have the fingerprint of this is how I show up as a feminine woman and a masculine man. But um, we need reprogramming. We
Yes.
are so lost, and I have so many friends who are like, well, you know, and then maybe we'll have a next our next session on how you show up when one of you is a little bit imbalanced in that way, or when you've decided I'm going to be the breadwinner, even though I'm the woman, but my husband, like I've had friends who make more money than their husbands. They're like, well, not only does he take out every single garbage and change all the diapers and stays home with the kids and picks them up, and he plays like Mr. Mom, or he's a stay-at-home dad, but he also gives me such a present mind. He also has his own job, and we have an agreement. He's going to make this much every year, but he shows up for me in this way, this way, and this way every single time. Versus a lot of my friends who are about to get divorced or who already got divorced, it was because he totally lost himself. There's no masculinity in the house, and the woman did everything. She was the mom of him, the mom of the kids, the wife, but then also on top of that was also the husband, and so he literally had no job, and he
Yep.
just pushed himself right out.
Yeah, that happens more often, and the more you pick apart these things where people say that they're happy in that role of like stay-at-home dad and boss babe mom, I will
Not working.
I
Yeah.
I'll put that up to debate.
Yeah, me too.
Let me just to say it nicely, but there are times, there are situations that is possible where there is a confidence behind him that even if she were to stop working tomorrow, that they both know he's stepping in and making it happen. That's his
Right.
life, his role. It's not impossible, very difficult, but not impossible.
And
Um,
also, I would venture to say that in my experience, those couples where it works, it only lasts for one generation because the kids usually see that that mom who was the boss babe and the dad who like it worked together, she came from a very either feminist household where the mom left and was a single mom and she's getting out her anger, or
mhm.
she came from a house where the dad was a misogynist and she
Yeah.
so didn't want that she overcorrected. But it usually comes from some form of trauma. It's
Yeah,
never like, oh,
100%.
this is so natural and
And we're
beautiful. And
fighting against a complete society who's against us anyways, tax both. They're not on your side. Spoiler alert, these people who are pushing this stuff, they're not on your side. So
yeah,
they just want your money. Number two, let me give a little teaser for next time about you asked me about femininity and masculinity. And I can go through it in depth next time, right? Masculinity represents consistently being somebody who holds themselves accountable and works on themselves. Femininity represents speaking and living from your soft desires at all costs. And that's just a teaser of like, I'm going to break that down. What does it mean? How does it play out? Um, but one of the most attractive and sexy things to a woman, well, you tell me, Barbara, is a man who is consistent, keeps their word, has a plan, and keeps it and speaks about it.
yeah, for sure. The reason I was engaged once and the reason why it was very hard for me to break up with my ex, it's like over a decade ago, is because he was such a great dater. He is masculine. He is such a good guy. He is so in integrity. And I thank God I saved both of us from a tragedy because it would have been a horrible marriage just because we really weren't in love with our natural who we really were. We were like, we only dated for 6 months before we got engaged, and I was more orthodox than him. And he was like, fine, whatever you want. You're a great girl. I'm getting married. Like he was so goal oriented, but he was such a good dater. Everything I asked for, I got. Like he wanted to go on the next date. And so I was like, oh, this must be my person. It's the first guy I've dated who is like, I keep my word. If I said I'm going to be there at 5:30, I will be there at 5:30 or
Yeah.
5:29.
Every
Yeah,
single woman wants reliability and safety.
right. Like that was the most attractive thing about him. He was goal oriented and he said what he was his word.
Do what you say what you do.
There were
Yep.
no games. Yeah. And I was like so attracted to that and was like, oh, finally, I found a guy. And he was younger than me too, 7 years
And
younger.
that's the beginning of masculinity. That's
Yeah.
the beginning. That's the tip of the iceberg. And one of the things I spend a little bit of this podcast talking about what you, aka the feminine, did wrong. Guess what? Men do this wrong. We have a lot of deprogramming to do. There's a lot that men need to own up. As a matter of fact, in the beginning, I put about 90% on the men in the beginning. And I can explain that later. That's too long to get into. But it's when you provide safety and regulate the nervous system properly as a man, a woman is waiting and has no problem refining herself quickly compared to a man. Women are up here waiting for us to catch up. That is a fact. And that's also, like I said, I'm very spiritual. I'm very emotional. I mean, like I use emotions and psychology behind this, but this is biological. I love science. Like when it comes to emotional intelligence and emotional well-being, women are waiting for men to catch up. 100%.
Yeah.
And
And unfortunately, I see a lot of women, like in my circles, be like, can you believe he did that? Ugh, I'm going to text him right back right now. And then they're like, we're done, block. And this is why I wrote my show and why I have a podcast on forgiveness and talking things out, because even if what I did was not the right amount of time on the phone with the guy, in some ways, I'm really glad that it happened because A, we wouldn't have had a podcast today, but also kind of a little part of me wanted to always tell the guys who ghosted and were kind of jerks what I really felt. And 9 times out of 10, I will make a beautiful text at the end if someone's ghosted me or been a jerk. Like if we've gone out a couple times and I'll say something really sweet from my heart and I'll be like, it's just too bad. I would have loved to have gotten to know you. I totally get. And then they'll be like, thanks, or I just never hear from them again because they're just like, oh, ghosting is fine. I'll just block her and forget about her. And I told her I'd marry her, go out with her 5 times more, but forget that. I don't need to keep my word. What's integrity? I don't need integrity. Integrity is from the 1950s.
yeah,
Like I am so glad it happened for so many reasons because I learned a lot from myself, but also like these girlfriends of mine, and they're not like my close friends wouldn't do that, but I have some friends who were just perpetually not just single, but like angry and angsty and masculine, feminine, and masculine females, and they're just like F him, and they love to gloat about how mean and gross the guy was, and then meanwhile, they do it right back. And
yeah,
so they just keep being a magnet for the complaint. I don't want to
yeah.
be that. I am so open for my greatest man husband. I'm so ready for him.
I call it the high value man magnet.
God willing, I hope this shirt is okay. We can talk about fashion too, but thank you, Yehuda. We'll hopefully keep meeting. And
We'll
guys,
keep
if you're
doing it.
listening and you have something, some scenario, some story, I mean, I was thinking of maybe opening up to like a live call because
Absolutely.
I would
Q&A.
love, yeah, Q&A, because I really want to hear from people. We can make our part shorter and then, just get on the phones with people or maybe do Instagram live because we're both on Instagram. But also, I just think it'll be really valuable. I mean, because you and I both are not in this for like the clicks or the show of it. We're here to really heal people. So if you're really here to heal and you don't want any games and you don't want to just like be flashy and just bash on men or bash on women and say it's all one sex's fault, like we are here to actually do the granola, crunchy, sweet, like let's figure this out. We're all in process, you know. That's what we're here.
100%. Amen. And we will. We're building a lot.
I mean, okay.